morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see you all here. I'm gonna get started here in just a minute. One drink of coffee. All right, good morning. Thank you for joining us. See a new face in here. So anyway, I'm just going to get started here with the announcements. So while we wait for others to join in the next 5 minutes, some logistical notes. We ask that you mute your mics if they're not muted already. This really helps with the flow of the service. The meeting is being recorded, so if you have any questions about that, just reach out privately. A portion of the service, we're going to have a time for journaling. So if you don't have your journal or a notebook, go ahead and grab that right now. And if possible for you, find a comfortable place where you can be relaxed and be present. If that's possible, again, not always is, but we do invite you to do that today. So just a refresher on Psanctuary. We are a 508c1a faith-based organization. For any of you who are new here today, we use psilocybin mushrooms as a sacrament to connect us to divinity. So if you, like many others throughout history, hold these mushrooms as a sacrament for sincere and intentional spiritual practice, you can inquire about becoming a member by clicking the link on the landing page of our website, psanctuary.org, or you can send an email to info@psanctuary.org. So by joining, you agree to our code of ethics, and there's a $35 annual membership fee or donation. After becoming a member, you'll gain access to our members only Telegram chat. And we'll also soon be migrating our post-service discussions to a members only space. So just a heads up about that. So now would be a good time to go ahead and join the church before we migrate to members only discussion, if you do enjoy those discussions after services. Please do also consider donating to Psanctuary. All donations currently go towards operational expenses, which includes helping us secure a location for in-person Sunday services, which we'll continue to do these Zoom services for those of you who are not local to Kentucky, and also group sacrament services. So we have a great vision here at Psanctuary, and this includes a community built on sustainability through permaculture and more accessible and frequent opportunities for services with our sacrament for members. So Athena will drop a link for cash donations if you are able to donate. And if you have ideas around in-kind donations, please just shoot us an email. Those are definitely welcome as well. We could use all the help we can get. So these Sunday services here are a place we gather together as a currently small but growing community. Although we do not partake in the sacrament during these services, we find common ground together in our recognition that the mushroom has brought us here together. So for more information on sacramental services currently available, you can reach out to us at info@psanctuary.org, and Athena will be the one who replies to your email and talks more with you about that. And again, if I don't think I actually said my name, if you don't know me, I'm Courtney. I'm the secretary here at Psanctuary. And again, just so happy to have you here. And if you are new, a little bit more about the service today. It's about 30 minutes of silent participation on your part. Athena and I will be facilitating the service. And today, Grant will be leading the discussion afterwards, and Eric will be co-leading as well. So we'll allot 1.5 hours for that until noon Eastern. So we do invite you to participate in that discussion if you feel called. We have 2 readings every Sunday. We'll be moving through different texts throughout our time together over all the Sundays. Right now we're reading from the Tao Te Ching and also the Science of Being Great. We chose these readings because we feel they communicate the messages we've often received from our time spent with the mushroom, but in different ways, very different ways. We'll also read from a poem today, the Litany of Gratitude, and this is read to acknowledge our oneness with all that is. So with all of that being said, Athena will now begin with the service. So please do get comfortable. And thank you again for joining us today. I do hope you can stay for discussion afterwards. And if you can't, I hope you have a great Sunday and a great rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. So again, thank you everyone for joining us. I'd like to take this moment to just acknowledge that we are so happy and grateful to be gathered together to expand our experience of the collective consciousness. We recognize our oneness with each other and nature and strive to become more aware of this in our everyday lives. And we'd like to take a moment to think about those intentions, think about what brought you here today, what you hope to gain by joining us and being here for yourself. And we're going to take 5 minutes to really get grounded and settle into the space here today. So I invite you to take a deep breath. And release anything that's not serving you in this moment. invite you to take another deep cleansing inhale. Exhale. Find yourself in this space today, present with us. I'll invite Courtney to do our first reading.
Thanks, Athena. This is chapter 13 from the Tao Te Ching. Welcome disgrace as a pleasant surprise. Prize calamities as your own body. Why should we welcome disgrace as a pleasant surprise? Because a lowly state is a boon. Getting it is a pleasant surprise, and so is losing it. That is why we should welcome disgrace as a pleasant surprise. Why should we prize calamities as our own body? Because our body is the very source of our calamities. If we have no body, what calamities can we have? Hence, only he who is willing to give his body for the sake of the world is fit to be entrusted with the world. Only he who can do it with love is worthy of being the steward of the world. This is our Sunday poem, A Litany of Gratitude. So here we do something fun and interesting for an online Zoom gathering. We invite you to unmute your mic if you would like to join in with me when I say we live in all things live in us. If you'd like to read the whole poem, you can do that as well. We just ask you to keep your mic muted so the echo doesn't get too intense. So again, please do join with me when I say we live in all things live in us throughout the poem. We live by the sun, we feel by the moon, we move by the stars. We live in all things, all things live in us. We eat from the earth, we drink from the rain, we breathe of the air. We live in all things, all things live in us. We call to each other, we listen to each other, our hearts deepen with love and compassion. We live in all things, all things live in us. We depend on the trees and animals, we depend on the earth, our minds open with wisdom and insight. We live in all things, all things live in us. We dedicate our practice to others. We include all forms of life. We celebrate the joy of living and dying. We live in all things, all things live in us. We are full of life. We are full of death. We are grateful for all beings and companions. Thank you.
A reading from The Science of Being Great, chapter 13. Greatness is only attained by the constant thinking of great thoughts. No person can become great in outward personality until they are great internally, and no person can be great internally until they think. No amount of education, reading, or study can make you great without thought, but thought can make you great with very little study. There are altogether too many people who are trying to make something of themselves by reading books without thinking. All such will fail. You are not mentally developed by what you read, but by what you think about what you read. Thinking is the hardest and most exhausting of all labor. and hence many people shrink from it. God has so formed us that we are continuously impelled to thought. We must either think or engage in some activity to escape thought. The headlong, continuous chase for pleasure in which most people spend all their leisure time is only an effort to escape thought. If they are alone, or if they have nothing amusing to take their attention, as a novel to read or a show to see, they must think. And to escape from thinking, they resort to novels, shows, and all the endless devices of the purveyors of amusement. Most people spend the greater part of their leisure time running away from thought. Hence, they are where they are. We never move forward until we begin to think. Read less and think more. Read about great things and think about great questions and issues. We have at the present time few really great figures in the political life of our country. Our politicians are a petty lot. There's no Lincoln, no Webster, no Clay, Calhoun, or Jackson. Why? Because our present statesmen deal only with sordid and petty issues, questions of dollars and cents, of expediency and party success, of material prosperity without regard to ethical right. Thinking along these lines does not call forth great souls. The statesmen of Lincoln's time and previous times dealt with questions of eternal truth, of human rights and justice. Men thought upon great themes. They thought great thoughts, and they became great men. Thinking, not mere knowledge or information, makes personality. Thinking is growth. You cannot think without growing. Every thought engenders another thought. Write one idea and others will follow until you have written a page. You cannot fathom your own mind. It has neither bottom nor boundaries. Your first thoughts may be crude, but as you go on thinking, you will use more and more of yourself, and you will quicken new brain cells into activity, and you will develop new faculties. Heredity, environment, circumstances, all things must give way before you if you practice sustained and continuous thought. But on the other hand, if you neglect to think for yourself and only use other people's thought, you will never know what you are capable of, and you will end by being incapable of anything. There can be no real greatness without original thought. All that a person does outwardly is the expression and completion of their inward thinking. No action is possible without thought, and no great action is possible until a great thought has preceded it. Action is the second form of thought, and personality is the materialization of thought. Environment is the result of thought. Things group themselves or arrange themselves around you according to your thought. There is, as Emerson says, some central idea or conception of yourself by which all the facts of your life are arranged and classified. Change this central idea and you change the arrangement or classification of all the facts and circumstances of your life. You are what you are because you think as you do. You are where you are because you think as you do. You see then the immense importance of thinking about the great essentials set forth in the preceding chapters. You must not accept them in any superficial way. You must think about them until they are a part of your central idea. Go back to the maker of the point of view and consider, in all its bearings, the tremendous thought that you live in a perfect world among perfect people, and that nothing can possibly be wrong with you but your own personal attitude. Think about all this until you fully realize all that it means to you. Consider that this is God's world and that it is the best of all possible worlds, that God has brought it thus far toward completion by the process of organic, social, and industrial evolution, and that it is going on to greater completeness and harmony. Consider that there is one great, perfect, intelligent principle of life and power, causing all the changing phenomena of the cosmos. Think about all this until you see that it is true, and until you comprehend how you should live and act as a citizen of such a perfect whole. Next, think of the wonderful truth that this great intelligence is in you. It is your own intelligence. It is an inner light impelling you toward the right thing and the best thing, the greatest act and the highest happiness. It is a principle of power in you, giving you all the ability and genius there is. It will infallibly guide you to the best if you will submit to it and walk in the light. Consider what is meant by your consecration of yourself when you say, "I will obey my soul." This is a sentence of tremendous meaning. It must revolutionize the attitude and behavior of the average person. Then think of your identification with this great supreme, that all its knowledge is yours and all its wisdom is yours for the asking. You are God if you think like a God. If you think like a God, you cannot fail to act like a God. Divine thoughts will surely internalize themselves in a divine life. Thoughts of power will end in a life of power. Great thoughts will manifest in a great personality. Think well of all this, and then you are ready to act. We'd like to take 5 minutes to reflect on these readings today. So if you have your journal with you, we have some journal prompts. How can these readings be viewed through the lens of the sacred mushroom? How can these readings be applied to everyday life? We'll begin the time now. right. To come back, we will just take this moment to recognize again that we've come together with intentions of service to the land and all its inhabitants. It is in our hearts to go forth into the world with a collective consciousness. We encourage our members and for anyone to stay for continued fellowship and conversation around our readings today. And those unable to stay, again, we thank you for joining us. I do have a few announcements. We recognize as well that we are new and putting these services together, so we really and truly appreciate any feedback you have. If you'd like to message one of us individually, we'd be happy to hear any of your thoughts. We will be streamlining our communications and encourage everyone to become a member. If you have any questions around that, you can email us at info@psanctuary.org. If you're a current member and are not yet in our private Telegram chat, please let me know. I'll send you the link. Eric and Courtney will be traveling next Sunday. So Grant will be assisting us in leading discussion. And if you reached out about helping with the readings, I'll be in touch this week to get those over to you. And then please mark your calendars for August 15th. After our Sunday service, we will be doing a short ordination for Eric and just recognizing the work he has done up to this point and becoming our first ordained and not our last ordained moderator for Psanctuary. Following that, we will be doing a park meetup for those here locally in town, just to celebrate and have a good time and be in each other's energy. So thank you all again for joining us, and I will pass this over and stop our recording.